Hey everybody, how you guys doing? My name is Crazy Jester and welcome to a U-boat tutorial. Now right off the bat, what I want to say is that this tutorial is going to favor the player who just picked this game up, brand new. You've never played any mill sims or any U-boat sims in your recent history or ever, and you just picked this up because you were watching my videos or other YouTube videos on this game and you wanted to try it out. Now, I can understand that this game can be very intimidating with all the gadgets that you see and all the dials that you see and the markings on the map that you see players put down when they're trying to line up their shot to hit an enemy, as you see here on the screen. But don't be afraid, it's super easy. I'm going to show you the way that I personally do it, and I think you're going to have a lot of fun. So without further ado, let's get into it. So we're just going to run through the steps. When you first start the game, you are going to see obviously a series of options. Once you're done setting up your settings, you're going to go to new game. Now, depending on which campaign you choose is going to set the difficulty, as you can see over here on the bottom right. U-48, for example, starts right at the beginning of the war, 1939, September 1st. Whereas if you go all the way to the bottom, the U-1055, Battle of the Arctic, starts at nearing the end of the war. You're right going into 1945 almost. You're 1944 December 13th, and you can see the difficulty is very hard. Basically, the difference between, let's say, the U-1055 and the U-48 is the technology that the enemy is going to have, and also the technology you have. But the U-48 is going to have to deal with a lot less technology on the enemy side of things, so it makes it a little easier for you to slip by, go unnoticed, whereas the U-1055, you're gonna have to deal with all the technologies that the Allies have adapted throughout the years. So that's a very basic kind of thing to look at when you're choosing which boat you want to start off with. Now once you choose your boat, for this example we're gonna go use the U-48. You can go right into how realistic you prefer the simulation. All the way from entertaining is you're just out there trying to have a lot of fun. The computer's going to take care of a lot of the simulation aspects and you don't need to really contribute too much. Whereas if you go to hardcore, it's going to say that you basically know everything about submarine warfare and want a demanding gameplay. Personally, I would suggest that you go with hardcore because the abilities I'm going to show you here, you're going to be able to do just fine. Entertaining's just a little too easy. Balance is okay, but you're going to do just fine if you pick hardcore. Then you go into next, and that's going to say how involved in crew management do you wish to be. Again, this is going to be minimal. The computer is basically doing everything for you. You don't have to really touch your crew apart from telling them to be quiet or maybe going to bed early and getting up before they've rested completely. Whereas if you choose expert, you are doing everything. You have to tell them when to go to sleep, eat, go to the bathroom. You're basically telling them how to do their job and when to do it. If you're new to the game, this is the area where I would suggest you do minimal for your crew management. It's going to save you a lot of time and a lot of headache. And then as you get to know the game a little more, start going into intermediate and then eventually expert. Once you get to the main settings here, this is prior to the game beginning. This is going to set how your realism is. Now, I pretty much have everything on hard for my gameplay. Okay, morale management hard, economic difficulty hard, everything else is pretty much stays the same. The one thing I do turn off on my games is darker nights. And the reason is because when it is dark at night, it's already pretty hard to see. If you do darker nights, it is nearly impossible to see. You can't see your hand in front of your face. So for someone who's a beginner, just starting off, uncheck darker nights. It's going to make it a lot easier for you, and I think you're going to have a lot more fun. If you want the difficulty of darker nights added to your games in future, once you start to get the game down, by all means, give it a whirl, see what you think. And here we are at our home port. Once you've selected your difficulty settings and decked out your captain to how you want him to look and given him a name, you go to the main port, and that is different depending on which U-boat you choose. Now, the port is where you get everything done before setting out to sea. And by everything, I do mean everything. Some important areas that you want to know when at port is you have this little warehouse here. If you click on the warehouse, that takes you inside to talk to the warehouse manager, Hans. From here, you can choose to upgrade your ship. You can go throughout your ship and look for these little green arrows that allow you to upgrade. And If it's already gold outlined, you already have that. If it's green, you already have that upgrade. As you go through the tech tree, which I'll show in a little bit, you get more upgrades that you can put onto your boat, which will cost money. The other option you have in the warehouse is to show me what you've got. And this is going to show you the supplies that this warehouse has for you specifically. Now, when you come into this window, the storage room on the right, this is what you have on your ship. And everything on the left is what you're looking to buy. So before you set off, you should be going through everything to ensure that you have the right equipment that you need to make sure you can accomplish the mission. Now, when you get to the torpedo section, there are different types of torpedoes that you can choose from, T1 and T2. As you get later in the war, there are eventually T3s that come out. And each torpedo gives you a basic description of what it does down here. So the T1 PI1, it's going to give you a description of what it does, its speeds. If you choose the T2 PI1, again, there's a new description for that specific torpedo. So make sure you read both of them carefully, decide which one you want. Me personally, I always go with what's free. So for me, that's going to be the T2 PI1s. And all you have to do is click and drag over. Now this little icon right here that shows moving means that your crew is actively moving a torpedo onto the boat. So it's going to take a little bit of time. I like to make sure that I have a full storage of torpedoes before I set sail. And also you have the stern torpedo. It's only going to have one torpedo, but you want to make sure that you at least have that. That's your emergency torpedo should you need it. After you're finished with the warehouse, you can go to the leading officer, which is usually standing right next to your boat. This is where you're going to start getting your missions from. Now, should you feel like you need a little more help in the game before you set off, you can always click on My Crew Needs Training. And what this does is it opens up the tutorial menu. So if you already went through the tutorial but you feel like you need more training, you can always go back to the tutorials, click which one you want to work on, and then hit select, and it'll take you into that specific tutorial. I highly recommend that you would take the Torpedo Attack tutorial because it's really going to help you in the long run. There's a few other options here that you can click on, but we're going to keep this tutorial very basic. So again, that you can get out there and start having fun, and you can start to explore the other options as you get the game down. Now, when you feel you are ready to accept your first mission, you are going to click on Are there any orders from Admiralty? Once you click on that, it's going to bring up this window. And all the available missions that are available to you are going to be on the left-hand side here in this window. Depending on which mission you choose, it's going to send you to a different sector on the map and give you a different set of objectives. Now, each mission has its own difficulty, which is going to be displayed up here on the top right in this window. I would recommend as a brand new player that you pick a low difficulty mission so you can get it down. And once you select your mission, you can read a little bit as to what the mission is going to be about. The last person that you're going to see at the dock is going to be the recruitment officer. And if you click on the recruitment officer, you're going to be able to hire more crew members for your ship. Now, once you click on this window, you're going to be presented with a numerous amount of recruits that are wanting to be on your ship. They all cost the same at the beginning, and each of them have their own profile. Now, I'm going to be very honest with you. I don't believe, depending on who you choose, if they have any different stats. I don't think if you choose Thomas Ebeling here versus Franz Mayer, they have different backgrounds that you can read about. However, I don't believe they come with stats yet. If anyone knows the actual answer, please correct me at the bottom. So that's going to do it for what we can do at the port. Now we get into the U-boat. To access what we're going to call right now the main menu of your U-boat, you want to hold down tab, and that's going to bring up your officers. Now, you have 5 officers on your boat. Each officer with these 2 little bars right here can be assigned a crew member. 1 bar for 1 crew, 2 bars for 2 crew members. Now, depending on how many crew members they have assigned to them, that's going to give them additional bonuses depending on which station they are. Which brings us into our next point. Each officer does have a specialty. As you can see here, Carl is a radio specialist, whereas Horst Werber and Michael Nod, they're engineers. You have your first officer and then of course your captain. Now, as you scroll over each officer, they can all go to different stations. Your radio officer has the option of radio room or listening room, which we will get into later. Now, before we set sail, let's go over the top right HUD here. Going from left to right, we have our battery capacity, and that's going to show us just how much battery is left. Now, as you're running off diesel engines, your battery is going to charge. When you are submerged underwater, your diesel engines are going to shut off, and you're going to start using your battery, which depletes a lot faster than obviously your fuel-powered diesel engine. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to your battery capacity, because if you fully deplete the battery and it goes to 0%, you cannot charge it again. You have to call for help. Likewise, for fuel, you want to pay attention to the fuel gauge just under the fuel can here to ensure that you're going to have enough fuel to make it back to your home port, and make sure you don't go down to 0% fuel, because again, you will be stranded and you'll have to call for help. The next thing we have is our air quality. This is how much air and the freshness of air that is in your U-boat. As you're submerged underwater, you cannot stay under there forever. Your air quality is going to start to deplete as soon as you submerge, and if that air quality gets to 0%, your crew members are going to die. They're running out of air, there's no more fresh air. Naturally, they're going to start dropping like flies. So you want to pay attention to this. This is even more important, in my opinion, than your battery, because this will deplete faster than your battery. So you need to make sure that you're paying attention to your air quality. If you start to see it get down into the 30% range, it's time to start heading to the surface so that your air quality can go up. And it will come back automatically, so you don't need to worry about it. If, however, it does not come back automatically, which sometimes the game does glitch, you want to hold down tab, come over to the diesel compressor, activate the diesel compressor, and that will recharge your air quality. Next to air quality, you have your discipline. This is going to be your morale on deck. You want to make sure that you have a 100% morale or around 90% morale. As it starts to deplete, your crew are going to not perform their duties as good as you would hope. They're going to start making mistakes. So always make sure that they have good discipline, providing them with food, having the officers play cards with them. When they get into dangerous situations, they're going to lose a little bit of discipline because they're going to be nervous and stressed. However, as long as you have them well rested, fed, and good training, they will maintain a good discipline. Now we're going to go over the gauges of the U-boat. The first one is going to be our telegraph, which is going to be our speed. Now, anything in red is going to be reverse, and anything in black is going to be forward, which it even lets you know right below the red, a little arrow. Forward, reverse. But you also want to pay attention, because this is also where you can choose your diesel engine as well as your electric motor. So if you submerge or you're above water and for some reason you want to use your electric motors, you can select electric or you can select diesel. Once you go underwater and come back up, you have to make sure that you manually select the diesel engine so that it turns off the battery, activates the diesel engines, and then you start to charge the battery. Now, to get going with your U-boat, all you have to do is simply choose an option. Forward 1 is going to be your slowest speed, where forward 5 is going to be your fastest speed. So to get going, all you have to do is press forward 1, and once everything is set in place, the U-boat will automatically depart from the port and start to head out. Now again, this is forward 1, so this is going to be your slowest. Once you start to depart, you obviously want to start mapping out a location of where you want to go. To bring up your overhead map, you want to press M, and this brings up all of Europe and the areas in which you can travel. Now, as you can see, there's already a course set for us automatically to leave the port. If you want to add waypoints to your current plot, all you have to do is hold down Shift. That brings up the line, and then you can right-click to add a new waypoint. And this allows you to make numerous waypoints so long as you hold down Shift. If you want to add just one singular waypoint, you just hold down the right mouse button and bring it to where you want to go. The next gauge we are going to go over is right next to the telegraph. That's going to be your depth meter. And as described, this is going to be how deep you are in the water. We are currently surface, so naturally we are going to be at 0 meters. But depending on how deep you need to go, you can go all the way up to 260 meters. Obviously, I would not recommend going 260 meters because you are going to be crushed and killed. Generally, you want to stay right within the yellow range here. Avoid the red areas if you can, unless you are in a dire situation. But generally, you're going to stay right around the 70 to 90 meter depth when you're attacking and trying to get away from destroyers. If you absolutely need to, you can venture into the yellow zone, but it's not recommended. And please, by all means, stay out of the red area. To go over the basics regarding your crew, if you click on the menu to the top right and go down to crew, this brings up not only your officers, but your crewmen as well and how many are on board. Now we'll keep this really basic, but for your officers, you're going to be able to see which skills they have because they can upgrade in level and you are able to provide them with certain skills. In this window, you can go to tasks to see what officers have which tasks. You can go to schedule to set a schedule for your crewmen. Now, as it pertains to the schedule, there's no right or wrong way to do the schedule. So long as you're not having your crew members work 24 hours, go ahead and play around with the schedule and see what works best for you. It can be 8-hour shifts, 12-hour shifts, 10-hour shifts. Go ahead and play around with it. Red is obviously the time that they're going to be off, and green is going to be the time that they're working. Play around with it and see what works best for you. There's no right or wrong way. So that's going to cover the basics of getting started in the campaign and the basic controls of your U-boat. Next, what we're going to go into is when we actually locate a target that we want to attack, all the controls that go into that, and how we accurately aim down the sights and ensure that our torpedo strikes the target we're looking at. Alright, so we are in an area that we want to start attacking ships. We are just off the west coast of England, and now the question is how do we actually locate ships? Super easy. So what I've done is I've assigned my radio man to the listening room, the hydrophone. And what we're going to do is we are going to submerge our boat to periscope depth. Now, once this boat gets to periscope depth, there is going to be this large bubble that goes around our boat, and that is going to be the range in which we can actually hear ships. And what we're listening for is propeller noise. So we will go time compression, get our boat down there, and you will see here's the max hydrophone listening distance. Now, if there are any ships within this circle, our hydrophone is going to pick this up, and we're going to be able to hear the propeller noise. It's not going to be immediate. It takes a little bit of time, so we can do some time compression. And as you can see, our radio man has picked up propeller noise using the hydrophone. Now, the size of the group, it says, is 2 to 4, tiny group. That's not exact. It could be 1 ship. It could be 3 ships. It's not exactly 2 to 4 always. But it gives you a relative idea of how big the group is and the direction in which they're traveling. If we increase time, you can see that they're traveling north along the coastline. Okay, so we have spotted the first ship with our hydrophone, and it is within our sight range. Now, there are a few things I like to do here. And the first thing is we want to get a relative course of where this boat is traveling. So to do that, we're going to click on our marker tab over here on the bottom left. We're going to zoom into the ship, and we're going to place one marker right at the front of the ship. Now, there's one thing you're supposed to do that is the right way to do this, and that is you can bring up a stopwatch and run it for, I believe it's 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes. There are numerous YouTube videos out there that show you this method, and it works beautifully. I, on the other hand, don't use this method. I wait for this ship to travel a certain distance. I don't time it. And then when it's far enough from this point, I'll put another point down, run 2 lines through it, and that gives me a relative course, and it usually always works for me. But the important thing that we want to know is that we want to be roughly 1 kilometer to 1.5 kilometers away from this ship. And the reason for that is when you're 1 to 1.5 kilometers away, if you're off by a degree as you're setting up your attack, it's not going to have that big of an effect on the torpedoes. Say if you were at 3 kilometers and off by a degree, you're going to completely miss that ship. So I find the golden zone for attacking ships is right around 1 to 1.5 kilometers. So now that this boat has traveled a good distance away from this other dot, I'm going to go ahead and place another marker right at the front of the ship. I'm going to grab my ruler, click on it, click on the first line, make sure it's intersecting through the second line, and go ahead and mark that. Now we have a relative course of what this ship is traveling. Now, if possible, you want to try and come at this ship at a hard 90-degree angle. Exactly 90 degrees is best, but if you're off by a few degrees, it's okay. But just remember that when you are attacking a ship, coming in at a 90-degree angle is the best way. Now we're going to go through a step-by-step process as to how I start targeting this ship and getting everything ready for torpedoes. The first thing I like to do is go to my mechanic who deals with the torpedoes and start issuing him the command to start warming up the torpedoes. By warming up the torpedoes, you have a higher probability that that torpedo is going to detonate on impact, versus if it's not warmed up, you risk having a dud torpedo, which you don't want because you've done all this hard work and you would hate to see that happen. Once we're ready to start spotting the ship, we're going to click on our captain who's already been assigned to the attack periscope, and we're going to click on the crosshairs next to his portrait. And once we're in our attack periscope, we're going to go ahead and look for the ship that we're trying to spot. There it is. If you right click, that zooms in your periscope. We're going to right click to zoom in and press E and hold it to lock onto the target. Now that we're locked onto the target, our attack periscope will follow this ship entirely until you unlock it. Now the first thing we're going to do is we have to identify this ship, and to identify this ship we're going to go ahead and click on this little identification book down here in the bottom left. Once you click it, it's going to open up an outline of all the ships. Now with the new update, it kind of helps you out a bit in that it puts the ship in a relative category of what you're looking for. So for this instance, this is a freighter. It's put it in the freighter category. You can sift through it to change the category: tanker, corvette, destroyer. But for this instance, again, we're in the freighter. Now what we need to do is we need to match the look of this ship to an outline of a ship that's in this illustration book. And to do that, all you have to do is hit left or right on the illustration book and sift through the pictures. And what you want to do is match this picture to this ship as closely as you can. It might not be exact, but as closely as you can, because that's going to help in collecting the data for this ship. So while not exact, I've come to the conclusion that this ship looks almost identical to an Empire Belle. And you can just follow the illustration, see how the front of the ship has a bit of a dip in it and then a bigger dip. You can see that on this illustration. The front of the ship has a small dip and then a bigger dip as it goes towards the middle and towards the rear. Once you've come to the conclusion that this is the ship that you want to target, you're going to go ahead and recognize this. That collects 25% of the data. The next thing we have to collect is the velocity of the ship. How fast is this ship traveling? And to do that, we're going to click on the stopwatch icon. Now, once you click on the stopwatch icon, the ship unlocks from your crosshairs. As you can see, it's no longer following it. And that is because we have to adjust our crosshairs to get ahead of the ship. And what we want to do is we want to wait for the front of the ship to hit the front of our crosshairs. And once it does, we're going to press start. So, start. And we have to wait for the entire ship to pass through our crosshairs. And we will not stop this until the rear of the ship touches the edge of our crosshairs. So once it nears the end, you got to get ready and stop, set. And now we have a velocity of the ship, which is 10 knots. The next thing we have to find is the course of the ship, and it's very easy. So we're going to go into the map, and we already have a plot set out to where we are facing. Here's the dotted line that we're facing, and it's intersecting with the course of this ship. In order to find the exact course that is traveling, we're going to go ahead and click on our protractor. We will click on the line that our ship is traveling. Go to where the 2 points intersect, click again, and then follow it. You're not going to go towards the boat, you're going to go away from it in the direction that this ship is traveling. And then you have a relative course. So we'll click, and we know that this ship is traveling at a course of 82 degrees. So we're going to go back into our attack periscope, we're going to hit the course, and we are going to adjust this relative course in the direction that the ship is traveling. So it is going left, we are going to go a bow left 82 degrees. Once we have it at 82, we're going to go ahead and set. And the next thing we have to do is distance. Now there's two ways to do distance, but I'm going to show you the way I do it, and it works every time. Go back into our map, and we need to find out how far away we are from this ship. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on our ruler. We can see the front of our boat. We're going to click near the front of our boat, and then we're going to extend this ruler out to the boat, and we're going to click on it, and that locks a position. And now we know we are 1.3 kilometers away from the Empire Belle. So we can go into our distance, type in 1300 meters, enter, click on our torpedoes. As you can see, our torpedoes are warmed up. We're going to click on torpedo 1. That's going to flood the tube and get it ready for the attack. We're going to check our course, because as the ship moves, the course does change. And we're going to readjust it to 82 degrees, set, and when we are ready to fire, we are going to send this torpedo. Everything is set in place. We have collected 100% of the data. We go ahead and click fire. Nose! Captain gives the order, and torpedoes are away. And once everything's been put in correctly, all there is left to do is to sit back and enjoy the fireworks show. And there we go, one hit on a freighter, which will no doubt send this to the bottom of the sea. And there's confirmation, ship is sinking, and that is one ship under our belt many more to come. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I really hope you guys have enjoyed this very short and brief tutorial. Again, this is going to get you guys started. It's not an advanced tutorial. There are many YouTube videos out there that do a fantastic job of showing you the advanced ways of targeting, the advanced ways of tracking, navigating. All of them are very good. I used them once I started to get a hang of the game. This tutorial video is just to get you guys started so you aren't sitting there looking at all these controls and get scared from actually starting your campaign. If you follow the steps that I did, I have no doubt that you're going to start hitting ships, sinking them, and you're going to have a lot of fun doing so. If you guys have enjoyed this tutorial video, please comment down below, let me know you guys liked it. Please consider giving the video a thumbs up, it really helps me out and helps the video out. And if you guys want to see more videos from me on games like this and many more, please consider subscribing. Anyways, happy hunting out there, and until the next video, I hope you all have an incredible day. Take it easy, okay?